Welcome to this lecture on encapsulation. Now, apart from the good looks of a car, have you ever thought why engine is not exposed to the outside world? Now, there are a few points. You might burn your hands, engine might get spoiled because of rain and other things. There are so many reasons why you would like to protect that. But just because it is not visible, it doesn't mean that you don't need that. You need that because it's part of abstraction. But do we need that to be exposed to the outside world? The answer would be no. Encapsulation is a mechanism to restrict the access to some components of an object. At the end of this video, you should be able to define encapsulation, and you should be able to explain the use of encapsulation in the programming world. Now, encapsulation is the process of compartmentalizing the elements of an abstraction. So, abstraction has already grouped all the required elements of a class, and now we want to segregate them. Now, it is a mechanism for restricting access to some components of an object. It's also known as data binding, but not necessarily that it should hide the data all the times. Let's take projector as an example. Now, what you can see here is a lamp. There's some buttons, but there's some nice cover that shields whatever the internal components of that. But inside, you see a lot of electronic and electrical components, a lot of wires. There's a lamp, there's a wire that is going from some place to the lamp where you can supply some electricity. Now, the lamp's voltage is around 240 volts. Now, what happens if you supply 500 volts of electricity? Now, definitely the lamp will burn or explode. Now, this is what we want to do, where we segregate some members of an object and say, hey, these are something that outside world can access and these are not. Now, private is the way you say some members are accessible only to the objects, and public is the way you say, hey, everybody can access this. We say outside world can access this. So, you see a projector that is nicely shielded. There are some buttons, there is some zoom controls and some other aspects. Now, there will be sockets for electricity. So, you still have to supply electrical current. So, this is how the back side of the projector would look like, where you can supply electric current. Now, if you supply 500 volts through this socket, now definitely we don't expect the lamps to burn or burst because encapsulation has been applied here. Now, the way it helps us is that the electricity that we supply is going to be validated by a fuse. So, if you supply huge amount of voltage, then the fuse burns and lamp is still safe. So, how do I apply this in the programming world? In the programming world, let's take an example of an object called person. A person has a name and age. Name would be a bunch of characters such as Vinod, and age would be probably some number like 40, 41 and so on. These are some of the data members. Now, we have exposed this currently to the outside world. Now, imagine you are trying to store some values. Now, we said p1.name equals to Vinod, p1.age equals to 41. We are able to assign the values directly to that. Now, there's nothing wrong with this because name is valid, age is valid, there's nothing wrong with this. However, if we supply some wrong values, would it be still okay? For example, that lengthy name what you see is quite not so good name. Now, age is definitely not a valid age for a human, right? So, how do we protect this now? Now, encapsulation is the solution. The way you do is you hide the data members and expose some functionalities in the form of typically setters and getters. Here is a renewed picture. We have a name and age not accessible to the outside world, but they are connected via getName, setName, getAge, setAge, some functionalities. Now, setName and setAge are the functions through which you are trying to reach to the name and age members. Now, they can validate the input before assigning to the target members. Now, as an example, in Java, the setAge method may look like this, where you supply the age, it is received as an int age parameter, and then we check is the age less than 1 or is it greater than 120? Then we create some problem. We say, hey, there is an invalid age exception. But if the condition was not matched, that means age is within the range of 1 to 120, which is okay for a human. Now that age we take and assign it to this.age, which is the member. So this way we have protected. So if I supply 41 for the setAge, works just fine. But if I supply 410, now this signals an error because we checked it. Is it greater than 120? And it is, yes, it is more than 120. So it signals an error and does not assign 410 to that age of the person. Now, how do we represent this in the UML? In a UML class diagram, we represent a class name, the fields, and then the methods. So now if you want to restrict any of them as private, you represent with a minus symbol. Now you may also specify plus to indicate that that is a public. Now if you think that there is a member that is protected, you can mention that with a hash. Let's summarize the points that we discussed in this video. Now we learned about encapsulation, which is a process of compartmentalizing the elements of an abstraction. Now setName and setAge are functions through which we validated the data before assigning it to the target members.